Welcome back everyone, Racer X here, and today I thought I would put together a quick video for you guys about something that has just been on my mind, something I've done a little bit of research on. American V8s. Are they really going the way of the wind, or sales, are they actually increasing on the V8s that are still being sold? We already know things are a little bit weird. Everything is trending more towards EVs, hybrids, twin turbo 6s. I mean, that's just the way everything is going right now, really across the board. But I wanted to know a little bit more about what's actually happening from a sales perspective with the V8s, specifically the American V8s that are still being made. So today we're going to talk a little bit about it. The numbers, they don't look great. It should be an interesting one. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please do me a big favor, hit subscribe. You can find that button right over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Truth is, if you are an American V8 fan, this is kind of the end of the line, right? I mean, we've kind of reached a spot where everything is looking very dark for you. We know that the Mustang is still out there, right? They're still making V8 Mustangs, which is encouraging. And yes, they are still making the Corvette.
Damn, these things are fast.
Also sort of encouraging, but everything kind of leads us to believe that the V8 will eventually go away altogether in terms of American V8s, and European V8s kind of the same sort of thing. I mean, you can look to see what other companies are doing out there as well. We already know that the Camaro is going away this year. We know that Stellantis has basically put the kibosh on Dodge and made them stop making the Hemi, whether it's the Hellcat variant, the 6.4 Hemi, or the 5.7 Hemi. They're all going away in lieu of EVs, hybrids, and of course the Hurricane twin turbo inline 6. That's an engine I actually really do like, but it's not a V8, which we already know, right? So very capable engine, but it's not in the V8 realm, so just a different type of platform there. And when you really start to dig into the sales data, we'll dig into the Mustang sales data here in just a minute. That actually surprised me a lot, considering it is basically the best option for an American V8, especially an affordable American V8. But I really wanted to dig in a little closer to why the 2023 Chargers and Challengers aren't selling. I had obviously hypothesized what was going on. Obviously, a big reason when you really start to look at the numbers is just they're not affordable. It doesn't make it any less of a cool car. I think they're very cool cars. They're very capable cars, always have been. But I did a little bit of digging here on the prices of these. And when you're out there trying to spend money on groceries and gas, and the housing prices have gone absolutely nuts, everything has just gone absolutely nuts price-wise, yet the average American wage has hardly gone up at all. Something has to give. And we know we buy these muscle cars, these performance cars, with our hearts and not our heads. That's the way it is. If you're a performance enthusiast, sometimes you're willing to spend more money on cars because it's what you like. But it all comes down to affordability. If you simply can't afford it anymore and the prices have gone nuts, something's got to give. If you look back at a base Hellcat, back in 2015, when the Hellcat first came out, the Challenger Hellcat, it was $60,690. And then of course, over the next 5 years, the 2020 model only went up to $62,190. That's a 2.4% increase. Not a whole lot over the course of basically 5 model years. But then from 2020 to 2023, it went to $71,295. 8.7% increase, while the wage basically stayed still. That was right in the middle of COVID, and then all of a sudden you saw a big price increase. On the Charger, it's even worse. If you like the Charger, this is bad news. 2015, $63,290 was the base price. In 2020, it went up to $73,590, so a little over $10,000. But keep in mind, in 2020 is when they went to a standard wide body. We all know that's at least a $6,000 package. So that was really a big reason for that increase. So all the Chargers in 2020 were now wide body. But then fast forward to 2023, where you basically get the exact same car, it went up another $12,000 to $85,765 for essentially the exact same car. There's really not a whole lot else they did to that car. Basically added like 10 horsepower through a different calibration. Basically nothing happened with that car except for a $12,000 price increase. That is not ideal. Something else that is just a little bit weird and I was completely unaware of until I started researching it is Stellantis as a company is actually doing really well. We know they have a worldwide presence. Over in Europe, they're doing great. And Stellantis is making plenty of money. Now, Dodge as a company, they are really struggling. And there's really three critical things that are the reason for this, at least in my mind. You've got a parent company that just doesn't understand the American consumer. And yes, we are different here. The V8's going away. That is a really hard pill to swallow, especially for your hardcore muscle car guys, because that is the true definition of a muscle car for a lot of people. That is a bit of a struggle. Most people do not want EVs, and they feel like the EVs are being crammed down their throat. The other part of it is they're just not affordable anymore. I mean, you can't really take away from a Challenger and what it is. I mean, it's a great car, same with the Charger. But when they quit becoming affordable, you start to lose your customer base. And you've seen the price increases. They should not be priced out there with the Corvette and all that kind of stuff. It's a muscle car. It's supposed to be affordable and out there for the masses. That's just part of it. Another big part of it has to do with the dealership network. People absolutely got sick and tired of all of the games, and it just came to a head. And people just didn't want to deal with the dealers anymore. When you can go into a Tesla dealership, you know they're not going to gouge you. They're very transparent with pricing, all that kind of stuff. You don't necessarily want to go play all the games that you're going to find at a dealership. And truth be told, it was really hard to go into a dealership that had any sort of business ethics whatsoever. They had no issue with doing all sorts of things under the table to either fool you about price, add addendums on, charging way over MSRP, and half the time under the guise of something else. The games just never stopped, and people got so sick and tired of it, they were like, I'm just not going to buy. It's not worth it. I don't want to deal with those guys anymore. And so until Dodge can find a way to rein in their dealerships and stop all the madness, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go in, pay way over, and then have to deal with these guys that are going to gouge me on my rate, that are going to gouge me on the price, they're going to add addendums, add all this crap that I don't want. And at the end of the day, just rake us over the coals. Well, people kind of spoke up, and you know that they're tired of it when they quit buying. So that is another piece of it as well. Next, let's talk a little bit about Chevrolet. And truth be told, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the GM stuff. I've had several Camaros in the past. I've had 5 Corvettes. I think they are absolutely great cars. Matter of fact, I would get another Corvette for the channel if I thought it would really help the channel a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think that it will. And I'm really bummed that they decided to go away from the Camaro, because I feel like it is an absolutely great platform. I love that 6.2 liter naturally aspirated engine, and I really like the Corvettes. So when you have the Camaro going away, which was kind of the more affordable V8 choice from GM, and then you're left with the Corvette, which by itself is a fantastic car, but they have become so incredibly expensive for the average American consumer. That used to be what that car was really meant for. It was the consummate sports car from America, right? It's the thing that could go out and basically hold its own against some of the stuff from Europe. Not that it won't do that now, but it has become just so expensive, so unobtainium, if you will, for the average person. I mean, if you want a new Z06 right now, I mean, good luck. You're going to pay $130,000, $150,000 for one of those cars. Even the C7 ZR1, which I absolutely love. I mean, once again, $130,000, $150,000, $170,000 for those cars. And wait for the new C8 ZR1 to come out. I think it's going to be fantastic. Twin turbo. It's going to be a monster. But get out your checkbook, because unless you can pay McLaren or Ferrari type money, you can't have it. And that's where we are with it, right? I mean, the Corvette quit being affordable a little while back. They kind of teased us and said, hey, look, you can buy one of these for $60,000 base. And then it was like you couldn't buy one for that. And now we're, a few years later, 4 model years later, we have the 2024s. They're about $10,000 more from a base perspective. But once again, you put engines and seats in the thing, and it's really expensive. Even for a base C8, they can really climb up there in price if you get like a 3LT. And like I said, when you start looking into the top tier models, the Z06, the ZR1s of the world, unless you are independently wealthy, good luck. You're not going to get your hands on one of those. So really nothing all that appealing in my mind, at least from an affordability perspective, coming down the pipe from GM. And they're just not going to make very many of those high-end Corvettes either. So something to think about. Next, let's talk about the Mustang, because this was kind of the car that was supposed to save the V8s for America, if you will. Turns out sales on the new Mustang really are not all that great. I actually looked at the sales data over the past many years, and you can see a consistent decline in Mustang sales going back like, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And you see this real nice steady downward curve of the Mustang sales. You saw a nice bump in 2015 when they came out with the S550 platform. And then, of course, with the new car that basically came out last year for 2024, for this year, you did see a slight bump, and you're already starting to see the sales data decline on the new car. Eventually, the sales just aren't going to be worth it. I mean, Ford's going to decide, look, we just can't continue to make this car at a loss. It doesn't make sense. They're still doing okay with some of their other things, but everybody is kind of going with more affordability, more family-oriented type vehicles. And, like I said, this one is more of a novelty. I mean, that's what we concentrate on this channel, right, is performance-oriented cars. But the days of the V8s, I mean, they're basically numbered. I hate to say it that way, but I mean, you can look at the sales data. A lot of Mopar guys were like, hey, look, if Dodge, if they're going to go away from V8s, I'm just going to go to a Mustang. But the sales data, it's not there. The cars just aren't selling the same way. I mean, just looking at this year, month for month, you're seeing basically like a 10% to 20% decline in sales per month. If that continues, that is not a good trend. And what's it going to look like next year, right? So even with the brand new car, which is a great platform, right? I mean, twin intakes, all that good stuff. It's a really nice car. I mean, they made some really nice upgrades to the S650 Mustang. You've got the Dark Horse out there. We're expecting the new GTD in very limited numbers. The cars are not selling that well. And even some of the aftermarket company like Magnaflow and some of the other people I've talked to, they said, look, we're not moving hardly any units on the Mustang stuff that we have. It doesn't make sense because that's like the best V8 option, especially American V8 option when it comes to affordability, all that kind of stuff. It's just more proof that V8s are on their way out, even for the companies that are still making them. And that is a sombering thought. So if you are a fan of V8 muscle, I would highly recommend you go out and you find you one right now, because as time goes on, I think we're going to see more and more of the Hurricane type variants, the EV type variants, and then of course the hybrid type variants. And there's nothing wrong from a performance perspective with those cars. Like I said, the new Hurricane, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think Dodge may have some success with it once it's proven what it can do. But once again, if you are a diehard V8 person, maybe it won't scratch the itch for you. I personally would love to get a hold of one of those things and tune it, make big power with it, and show what it's capable of. I've said it in the past. I've been to events like 2K many, many times, and believe it or not, like 85% of the cars out there are not V8s. They're actually something else. We can go down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to do that in this video, but you kind of have to get your head wrapped around maybe twin turbo inline sixes, maybe some more of the hybrid type technology cars, stuff like that. That is where we're headed as a car community, guys. And I hate to break it to you, but that's just the honest, blatant truth. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.